Hi guys, it's Claire. Welcome to my channel. I thought that today we would do a knitting podcast and kind of start that series because I've gotten very into knitting recently and I thought it would be fun to kind of document that, and I've been very inspired by a lot of the knitting podcasters that I've been watching lately. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. I am based in Boston right now and I am a fairly beginner knitter. I've been knitting since October, so like 3 or 4 months, but before that I also crocheted, so I feel like I have a little bit of a leg up because I knit continental style and you hold the yarns the same way, and I feel like it also helps when you're reading patterns and stuff, because it's kind of the same, like, I don't know, thought process when you're parsing patterns for crochet versus knitting. It's very similar. So yeah, let's just dive into it with my first finished object, which is this step-by-step sweater that I've been playing around with. This step-by-step sweater from Florence Miller, Handmade by Florence, on YouTube and Instagram. And I chose this as a first project because she said that it was for a beginner, and she also has a video showing you exactly how to do it, as well as it's a free pattern, and so I thought that sounds perfect for a first project. So it was really easy to follow the pattern, and the video is very well explained and very well filmed, and I feel like it just gives you all the information you need to know to make a raglan sweater. This is, I don't know if I mentioned, this is a raglan construction, and it's knit on 5.5 millimeter needle, so it goes really fast. I think I finished this in 2 or 3 weeks, and I was knitting maybe like 1 or 2 hours every day that I did knit, and I don't think I was knitting every single day. And yeah, this yarn that I use specifically is Drops Nepal in the color light beige, which is 100% alpaca. So I thought that alpaca was supposed to grow a lot. So when I knit the sleeves, I knit the sleeves to where my wrist was, and then I thought that it would block out to be longer, which it didn't. And so whenever I wear it, I kind of stretch out the sleeve to try to hit my wrist or go past my wrist, which as a result has stretched out the neck. So that's kind of unfortunate, but I think I will just go back and put elastic in the neck to cinch it in more, and then probably reblock the sleeves and then intentionally stretch them out more. This pattern I think is really versatile. I mean, it's a raglan sweater that can only be as versatile as like a raglan sweater can be. It's pretty basic, but it gives you a couple options depending on your personal preference and also your skill level and how comfortable you are with certain techniques. So she has an option for a normal 1x1 rib funnel neck, and then she has the option which I chose, which is the folded collar. And the folded collar is supposed to be, I think, the more like advanced or a little bit harder than the funnel neck, because you have to like knit into your ribbing and line up your ribbing, but I found that she explained it really well, and so I didn't have any issue with that. And then she has the option for short rows or no short rows, and if you choose to do short rows, she has in her video like how to do short rows, so I didn't find that difficult either to add short rows into this, but she has the option without short rows if you are a beginner knitter and you just want a sweater off your needles. And if you're a more experienced knitter and you just want something that like fits you a little bit better, you can do the short rows. Or if you're like an adventurous beginner, which I think is super helpful to have those options. And yeah, so like I said, this is 100% alpaca, and I don't know why people always say alpaca is supposed to be soft, but every knitter, like knitting podcast I've watched, when they're like, oh, I used alpaca because I thought it was supposed to be soft, they're like, oh, it's kind of itchy. And I have the same experience where I find this sweater to be a little bit itchy. It has these long fibers that poke through my shirt, because I do wear a long sleeve under this when I wear it, and I find that even with the long sleeve, sometimes the fibers like poke through it and it's a little bit itchy. Not so much I wouldn't wear it, but enough that I'm like they lied to me about alpaca. But I think it has gotten a little better with more wear. I think like, I guess the oils in my skin or just like wear and tear is taking those long fibers out, and so it's like more comfortable against my skin, but I definitely wouldn't wear it directly against skin. And if you have sensitive skin, this is a yarn that I would stay away from. And it might just be like this brand of yarn, because Drops and Petal is a very, very cheap yarn. Do with that information what you will. Yeah, this sweater cost maybe like $25 to make, which is very, very, very cheap, I feel like, for, I mean, a sweater that you buy, but also a sweater quantity of yarn. Yeah, I think that's everything I had about the step-by-step sweater. So I'm gonna move on to the next finished object, which is the Turtle Dove Shawl by Sari Nordlund. This was a mystery knit along for the month of December for Christmas, and it is on 3.5 millimeter needles. Sorry if I'm looking down, I just have notes written down for myself. And I knit it in Quince & Co. Phoebe in the color Luna. Sari Nordlund recommends that you knit this in either a fingering plus mohair or a DK weight, and Phoebe is a DK weight 100% wool yarn, and this is knit on 3.5 millimeter needles. That is the needle size that is recommended. I did not gauge swatch for this because I thought, oh, it's a mini scarf, like sizing doesn't really matter too much. And gauge won't matter too much, but I think I am a very tight knitter, at least compared to Sari Nordlund, or maybe I like didn't stretch this out enough when I was blocking it. I think that the size is a little bit small, and it's definitely my fault and not the fault of the pattern, because I've seen other people's renditions and they're, you know, like a normal small scarf size. Oh, I forgot to like show you guys, there's a bunch of cabling. There's these lovely ladders in the pattern, and this lovely like zigzag twisted rib with the baubles, which I think is really, really cute. And it's definitely a pattern that I want to wear out and show off, but because I knit it like kind of tightly and kind of small, it's a little bit harder to style it, I feel like, with all the patterns showing, because I've seen a lot of people wear it like this, just kind of around their shoulders. And I can't really do that. You can see I'm struggling. I can't really do that because this is a little bit short. Definitely my fault, like I said. So if I lay it out with the pattern nicely and I do it around my shoulders like a lot of people have been doing in their Instagram posts, like this is kind of an awkward length. And so yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. But I do think it's still pretty cute, tied around my neck like a little scarf. So, and I do have to, because it's shorter, I have to take care of how I tie it and make sure it's laying nicely and stuff. But I still think this is, you know, pretty cute, especially with a nice coat. And then the other way that I want to wear it is like, I think just bunch around my neck, but crisscross in the front. It's hard with this collar. Like cross in the front and then pin down here would be cute. So yeah, I do really, really like this pattern. It was my first time doing cables. Obviously this is the second thing I ever finished. It's my first time doing cables, and I actually didn't use a cable needle, like a actual cable needle. I used a double pointed needle as a cable needle because I don't have cable needles, and I think it worked pretty well. I mean, obviously I finished this, so it did work. This pattern is a charted pattern, so there's not much reading you have to do except for like at the very beginning and at the very end. Most of it is charted, so you have to be able to read charts. And I had not done cables before this, but I feel like the explanations in the pattern are pretty clear. So if you don't know how to do cables, it's pretty easy to read the instructions and kind of figure out what's going on. Or you can watch a video. I feel like cables are actually not as complicated as I thought they were going to be. But yeah, I used less than 1 skein of yarn for this. Quince & Co. Phoebe comes in like 100 gram skeins, so I have to go weigh my leftover yarn, but I think I used maybe 70 or 80 grams. And I thought this would use over 1 skein, so I bought 2 skeins of that yarn, and my plan is I'm gonna make another one for my mom, but I'm gonna size up in needles. So this uses 3.5 millimeter needles. I think I will use 4 millimeter needles and make one for my mom because I showed her and she thought it was really pretty, and she does wear stuff like this, so I thought it'd be fun to make a matching one for her with the bigger needles so that it has better drape and it's slightly bigger so that she can wear it around her shoulders if she wants to. I think this is just a tiny bit too short for that, so hopefully the bigger needle size helps with that. I think I will also try knitting with less tension because that's easier on my hands, and I think because I'm a beginner knitter I get nervous, so I pull on my yarn more, so hopefully as I knit more, like, my tension gets a little more relaxed. I do think like fingering plus mohair is a little bit thinner than just DK weight, so maybe if you do DK weight, like, also size up in needles. I think that's what Amy of Knee Knits did when she knit this. She sized up in cables, but she did fingering plus fingering. I don't know. I personally would size up in needles if I knit this again, which I think I will. Also, I guess my fault for not gauge swatching. Although I don't know, she says to gauge swatch in there, but I guess it's good practice to always gauge swatch, which I did not, so that's on me. Okay, moving on to some whips. The first one is the Petal Drop Sock by Florence Miller, and again, it's not a free pattern, it's a pay what you want pattern, so you can pay the full price for it, or you can use the coupon code on her Ravelry page and get it for free. And she also has a video tutorial on it, on like how to do some of the things for the sock, like how to follow the chart, how to knit socks using the magic loop method, which these are knit on 2.25 millimeter needles using the magic loop method. She has the video that explains how to use magic loop, how to follow the chart, how to do the heel flap and the gusset. It's a heel flap and gusset construction. And then how to do and I think a couple of other things. I did skip around the video when I was knitting the first sock just because I knew how to do most of the things. Like, I know how to follow a chart. I knew how to do like the heel flap and gusset explanation in the pattern is already pretty clear, so I didn't feel the need to go watch it. And so was the toe shaping as well. I did watch her video to figure out how to do Kitchener stitch to bind off on this, or to like seam up the toe, I guess. Yeah, I do have one sock, and it is this very pretty lace ribbed pattern, which I think is also good if you're a beginner on magic loop, because with magic loop and DPNs, I think people tend to have tension issues with that first stitch where the needles like intersect, and because it's ribbed, I think it hides a little bit of that, because I definitely had some issues with tension at that point, but because it's ribbed, it does help with that. And I have not blocked this sock, so that's why it looks all scrunched up and stuff, but hopefully if I put my hand in there, you guys can see this is the pattern, and it's a fairly basic repeat once you get it down, so it's definitely something that you can like take on the go without looking at the pattern all the time. And then this is where I am with the second sock. This has been in whip purgatory for like 3 months. I cast this on as soon as I finished the step-by-step sweater, but then I also cast on the turtle dove shawl and the other project I'm going to show you. And this is knit in Drops Fable in the color light pearl gray, I think. Let me double check that. Yeah, light pearl gray. And that is a very cheap yarn. So Drops is a very cheap yarn brand, and that's why I use a lot of it. But Drops Fable particularly I find very splitty, and so it's a little bit difficult to do the decreases with. And so I think because of that, I haven't really wanted to knit on this as much. And it just doesn't feel very nice, which for a sock I guess doesn't matter too much because it's on your foot and you really, well, I really care more about like if the sock is going to last if I'm walking around a lot as opposed to how soft it is. Like I prefer to have a sturdier sock than like a really soft sock because I want to wear these inside my shoes. And that's a personal preference, right? Some people don't care about having a sturdier sock, they just want like a really comfortable sock. But because it's so splitty, it's really hard to do the decreases. So if you're a beginner knitter, like I don't recommend Drops Fable, just because I find it really hard to knit with. Maybe if you're doing like vanilla socks it's okay, but I think if you had to fix any mistakes or frog anything like that would make the yarn like unravel, and then it would be really hard to work with. So I think that's why it's been like I haven't really worked on it that much. I've only worked on it when I've been traveling, because it like socks are an easy project to make, and I don't want to cast on another pair of socks when I still have this one on the needles. It was also my first time doing magic loop, and I think I'm going to try 9-inch circulars next, just because I think the flow will be a little bit nicer. Magic loop is just a little bit annoying to have to pull the cables through, and I found it a little bit hard to do the gusset, because when you like pick up the stitches to do the gusset after you do your heel flap, like there's just so many more stitches on one of your needle compared to the other one, and it feels very unbalanced and kind of hard to knit with, especially that first and last stitch when you're on the heel flap and gusset part. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, I definitely want to try 9-inch circulars after I finish this pair of socks. But other than that, I find like magic loop is pretty like easy to it's pretty easy to pick up on, and not like a horrible knitting experience. I definitely prefer it to double pointed needles because I tried double pointed needles and I did not like it. I was just always afraid that the needles were gonna fall out of my knitting. Other than the yarn, I think like this project is okay. I think I would definitely be more motivated to finish it if it was different yarn. But you know, Drops Fable is like $2 per skein, so it's less than $5 per pair of socks. They're 50-gram skeins. Yeah, so I don't know. I did try on the sock that I finished, and I feel like it fits pretty well. I know a lot of people have issues with like heel flap and gusset socks, but I think that the fit of the heel flap and gusset like works really well for me, and I really like that the slip stitches at the heel flap part kind of they feel really plush and it's like thicker there, so I feel like that will be good for like the longevity of the sock, because I always get like holes in my sock first at the toe and then also at the heel flap region, like the back of my ankle, because my shoe like rubs up on it. So yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully once I finish these socks I'll wear them out and I can tell you, or like put on my Ravelry page like how well they wear. So yeah, those were the Petal Drop socks by Florence Miller. And then this is my last whip, second whip, and also last whip. Okay, so this is the Ingrid sweater by Petite Knit, and I have finished the body and one sleeve, and I'm halfway through the second sleeve, so I still have to do the second sleeve and the neck, and I have to block it. This is the size small. I knit it in Drops Daisy in let's see, I knitted in Drops Daisy in Ice Blue, held with one strand of Drops Kid Silk in Light Steel Blue. Drops Daisy is supposed to be the same kind of yarn as Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino and Santa's Garn Double Sunday, I think. Like it's the same weight, same ply, same like twist, I guess. And so it's supposed to hit the same gauge, which I did gauge swatch for this. I did meet gauge. So yeah, it was my first time knitting with mohair. This is a drop shoulder construction with a lot of mock cabling and double rib and double moss stitch. I don't know, I feel like this is a classic petite knit pattern, and I'm really excited to have this finished. I did go for a size small because I think I'm in between petite knit extra small and small, and I definitely wanted more of an oversized look on this, and I don't mind if my sweaters are really big on me, so yeah. This is mostly on 4mm needles, and then the ribbing is, you know, a size smaller, and it does call for double pointed needles on the sleeves, but I use the traveling loop method instead, which, if you're not familiar with the difference between traveling loop and magic loop, you have like the extra cable of the needles on both sides of the knitting, and then traveling loop is just extra cable on one side. So you like have all the stitches on one needle, and then you pull the cable all the way out on the second needle, your like working needle. Yeah, so which I find that to be a lot easier than double pointed needles, and it gives me a lot less anxiety, especially when I have to stop and put the project down, because I have 2 cats and they really like eating yarn and that's not very good for them. So whenever they try to eat it, I have to like very quickly put everything away, and I feel like I couldn't do that with double pointed needles, especially with such a big project. Like socks I could, but I don't think I could like really quickly put a sweater away with double pointed needles without dropping any stitches. So yeah, I did mess up a couple times on this. So I had to ladder down and fix stitches, which I hadn't done before. Obviously with just stockinette, it's like on the step-by-step sweater, it's harder to make a mistake like that versus with something that has like a pattern like this. It was also my first time picking up stitches for the sleeves, which I thought would be really painful because people complain about it a lot, but I don't think it was that bad. And then you do have to do T creases through the chart for the mock cables, which I'll show you if I can find it. Like, the way they tell you to do it, I think is kind of weird, because you end up with this like weird section here that has the mock cables and then they just disappear, and I wish I just had done like straight stockinette across that portion. But I did the same thing on the second sleeve because I wanted them to at least match. But yeah, that's the other thing that people I think complain about with this sweater, is that it's hard to figure out what's going on with the pattern when you're decreasing on the sleeves through the cable chart. But she does have a video, or like someone has a video that is posted on the Petite Knit website for this pattern that tells you how you're supposed to decrease through the chart. I think there's better ways to do it, but it's not complicated if you do it their way. But yeah, that's something I do appreciate about Petite Knit patterns, is that it shows you, like, there's videos for how to do every technique. So there's videos on how to pick up sleeves, or how to pick up stitches for the shoulder, and how to pick up stitches for the sleeve, and like how to do the bind off and stuff, how to do double knitting. Even though Petite Knit has this pattern rated as a 5 out of 5 on difficulty, I think that wasn't very difficult for a beginner knitter to do, because for Petite Knit, like on each of her pattern pages, she has like videos showing you how to do everything. And those videos are pretty clear, and her patterns are really clear as well. There's a lot of explanation in them. And so I didn't find this difficult to follow along on, even as a beginner knitter who like has no idea like how the sweater is supposed to be constructed. And so I'm glad that I did a new construction using a petite knit pattern. Like now I understand why her patterns are so popular, because they're really easy to understand. I also think that the designs are really pretty as well. There's definitely a lot of ends to weave in on this though. I'm not looking forward to that, but that's fine. There are short rows on the sleeves, on the back, and on the shoulder, so lots of short rows, and she does have a video showing you how to do short rows. So yeah, I'm really excited to finish this and get it blocked and wear it, because it is finally getting pretty cold here. I right now live in Boston, but I'm from California, so I'm really afraid of the cold, and it'll be nice to have a 100% wool like sweater. I guess mohair is not wool, but you know what I mean. It'll be nice to have a nice warm sweater to wear in the winter. We're having our first snow today, so I think is definitely time for the heavy duty sweaters to come out. I don't know if you consider this heavy duty. It's considered heavy duty for me because I'm from California and we don't believe in weather. But now I have to because I live somewhere with weather. So yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if you guys have any like comments or criticisms or whatever. I would love to get better at making videos, and hopefully I can make different content for you guys too. Like I think it'll be fun to do like knitting vlogs and stuff, but let me know if there's any questions about anything, and I'll leave links to all the patterns and stuff down below. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.